The largest artificial archipelago in the world, the man-made islands of Dubai, have been under construction for 20 years. 2 decades after being widely publicized as the United Emirates' flagship urban development project, the narrative is significantly different from what the developers would have anticipated. Even with unfinished islands, abandoned projects, and the sea regaining its territory, Dubai isn't giving up and is certain that its goal will come true despite the delay. But why these $12 million islands are sinking? Let's check out history. By the early 2000s, the Emiratis had a lot of money but little sense of what to do with it. They could invest money in Dubai's growing real estate market, of course. However, there are restrictions on how many skyscrapers and towers may be constructed, and Dubai's coastline is already peppered with real estate development. The UAE government then decided to build townships in the ocean one fine day. The Palm Island project. The Dubai government-owned real estate firm Nakheel Properties made the decision to alter the way land is developed. Due to the lack of available land along Dubai's shoreline, Nakheel Properties chose to build large communities in the sea. The Dubai government-owned corporation made a number of ideas public between 2001 and 2006. The Palm Islands, an archipelago of 3 islands named Palm Jumeirah, Palm Jebel Ali, and finally Palm Deira, which was intended to be the largest of all, were the initial plan. Then, there have been some further initiatives, including the World, a 300-island artificial archipelago constructed to symbolize the many nations and regions. The Universe, which would accurately portray the universe, was planned for the following phase by Nakheel Properties. Finally, since it was an Arab project, it wished to introduce Islam. Therefore, Nakheel Properties intended to construct the Dubai waterfront, shaped like a star and crescent, a crucial Islamic symbol, right next to Palm Jebel Ali. You are aware that these projects were supposed to be constructed like actual islands where people would live. Unsurprisingly, the project was promoted as the largest man-made undertaking in the world. The obstacles. The Palm Islands initiative would put nature to the test. Nakheel Properties began constructing the 5-kilometer-long Palm Jumeirah in 2001. It increased Dubai's 72 kilometers of coastline by 78.6 kilometers and added 560 hectares of artificial land. Amazing, huh? Well, it was predicted that the 1,500 km of shoreline in Dubai would be increased by all the giants that were planned. Projects initially went according to schedule. By 2006, Palm Jumeirah's land reclamation was finished, and the first units were delivered. However, Palm Jebel Ali and Palm Deira had to be delayed as a result of the 2008 global financial crisis that the UAE was experiencing. The Palm Deira project, which was initially intended to be constructed over 46.35 km2, has been renamed just the Deira with 4 smaller artificial islands holding over 5,000 shops and cafes. Nakheel Properties said that Palm Jebel Ali is a long-term project that would be revisited at some time in the future, because they were unable to fund it. The vision. Ali Mansour is perched more than 50 stories above the islands he helped create nearly 20 years ago, and he can see them clearly. He says, "It was a fantastic task. An experience of a lifetime." These are the islands that make up Dubai's well-known Palm Jumeirah, an artificial archipelago in the form of a palm tree that is home to opulent hotels, immaculate beaches, and about 80,000 inhabitants. According to Mansour, it was a first, an unheard-of endeavor of that scale. Mansour, a civil engineer by profession, relocated to Dubai from Canada in 1998 to work for a consulting company. Beginning in June 2001, he saw the Palm project from a distance. When the first satellite images, which showed a small patch of land rising above the ocean surface, were released in 2002, he recalls, "I became really fascinated. Then I made the decision that I would do whatever it takes to join the team responsible for this project." Mansour joined Nakheel, the company that created the Palm, a year later. He currently serves as the project's director and advisor at Nakheel Marine Engineering. The building of an island. The team solely used sand and rock to build the island's foundation. No steel or concrete was employed. Despite the fact that Dubai is surrounded by sand dunes, they were unable to rely on the abundance of the Emirates' resources. Mansour reveals that once in the water, desert sand liquefies. 10 nautical miles from the islands, around 120 million cubic meters of sand had to be excavated and transported over from the Persian Gulf's bottom. The Hajar Mountains in the northern UAE were mined for more than 7 million tons of stone. These rocks make up the 11-kilometer-long crescent-shaped breakwater that shields the island from strong winds and seas. According to Nikhil, the entire amount of rock and sand needed to construct the island could be utilized to build a 2-meter-high wall that circles the Earth 3 times. The gigantic island, which spans 560 hectares, that is 1,380 acres, required Mansur and his crew to deploy satellite-guided technology to assist construct the frond-shaped island. Mansur, a skilled diver himself, and 5 of his co-workers visually evaluated the breakwater by diving together in succession and on various levels, as he puts it. Mansur and his group spent 10 weeks doing the review. Despite having the most up-to-date software, he claims, "I'm an old-school person, and eye inspection is still crucial to me." Achieving new heights. Visitors could only fully appreciate the enormous structure for the first 20 years of the Palm's existence by taking a helicopter tour or free-falling from an airplane. Visitors may now see the Palm from Nikhil's brand new, 52-story tall view at the Palm observation deck, which opened in April. The view at the Palm is the island's newest attraction, joining others like the Atlantis Resort and Palm West Beach. It is a component of the new Palm Tower, which will officially open later this year. Even Mansur, who has traveled nearly the whole length of the island, experiences butterflies when witnessing the Palm from a distance. This open 360-degree picture, which includes all of the sites on the island and a comprehensive view of the island, is quite amazing, he claims. The current state. Dubai underwent a flurry of urban growth at the start of the 21st century, establishing the Arab Emirate as the center of eccentricity and architectural records. The Palm Islands were the most ambitious undertaking, and the World in the Universe archipelagos, which are now under construction, later joined them. A total of 5 artificial archipelagos that have reclaimed land from the sea are advertised as luxurious sanctuaries. Isles of Palm. Composed of the Palms Jumeirah, Jebel Ali, and Deira. They have expanded Dubai's beachfront by 320 km, and each one is 5.6 km 2, 8.4 km 2, and 46.35 km 2. While Jebel Ali is still under construction and Jumeirah is the most advanced of the 3, Deira had its first tourists in December 2020. The globe. The world's map is made up of 300 islands. Its 9.34 km 2 has increased the coastline by 232 km. Despite having launched 17 years ago, the project has had the most difficulties and is still unfinished. The cosmos. Between 2023 and 2028, a reproduction of the constellations is expected to be finished. In the past 20 years, a wide range of issues has resulted in construction delays, non-payment, debts, legal issues, irreversible environmental impact, and some islands falling back into the water. Despite all of these unforeseeable events that have put the project's viability in jeopardy, its developer, Nikhil, isn't giving up on it. The problems. The first events that had a detrimental effect on the viability of this macro project were the real and financial estate crises of 2008 and the decline in oil prices in 2014, which drive the Emirates' economy. The timeline of the proceedings is lengthy and intricate, but it can be distilled down to private investors who withdrew, developers' million-dollar debts, lawsuits, and paused work with no scheduled restart date. The issues still exist today. During the first quarter of 2018, revenues of new real estate projects decreased by 46%. House prices have decreased by 15% since the end of 2014. With new investors like the Philippine company Revolution Precrafted, which would invest $3.2 billion in the construction of luxury residences in a hotel, a number of real estate ventures have proposed relaunching the World project. The sinking factor. Still, with the World, the marine firm Penguin Marine issued a warning in 2010 that this collection of archipelagos was returning to the sea. For safety reasons, the business that was in charge of providing logistical and transport services to the islands frequently recorded measurements. The primary cause of this was the gradual return of the sand used to create the 300 archipelagos, which were dug up from the seabed. In fact, the waters of the Persian Gulf were increasing and the islands were beginning to disappear, according to a photo obtained from the International Space Station in February 2010. The canals linking the islands were also clogged as a result of this. The project developer, Nikhil, refuted all of these accusations and ultimately prevailed in the legal battle with Penguin Marine, which sought to terminate its contract. NASA data indicated that Palm Jumeirah was likewise subsiding at a rate of 5 mm annually. The majority of the man-made islands are built on a sand and rock foundation. The artificial islands were constructed using marine sand, which is more suitable for this type of construction since it is more compact, despite the fact that Dubai is surrounded by desert. The researcher Bayina Salahuddin's findings from her environmental studies indicate that Dubai's beaches shed between 10,000 and 15,000 cubic meters of sand annually. This pace of erosion has increased due to the tides as a result of the Palm Jumeirah building, which has altered the wind's natural flow. As a result, over a 5-year period, marine sediment deposits shifted 40 kilometers. The marine biodiversity has been impacted by all the movement brought on by the building, which has buried oyster beds and irreparably damaged the coral on the seafloor. The issue is not unique to Dubai. The Abu Dhabi Environment Agency issued a warning in 2017 stating that the worst-case scenario for climate change effects would result in a 9-meter rise in sea levels, which would be disastrous for Dubai and its man-made islands. In the United Arab Emirates, the majority of people live along the coast. The islands have a massive wave breaker surrounding them to shield them from the swells. In order to provide inhabitants and visitors with unobstructed vistas, it is barely 2 meters above sea level. The lowering of marine currents and artificial modification of marine flows are the immediate effects. In the long run, even the most optimistic or pessimistic estimates are unlikely to be enough to overcome this barrier. This issue might get worse due to altered maritime currents and declining local biodiversity. The pollution brought on by the increased construction activity throughout the first 10 years of the 21st century did nothing to lessen the cities or the Persian Gulf's warming. After everything is said and done, the $12 billion that the UAE invested in the world is sinking and sinking quickly, making it one of the largest real estate failures in the modern period.